We're going to one of my old stomping grounds, El Pollo Loco. Yep. If you follow my channel, you know that I was close to 300 pounds at one point in my life, and fast food was a big part of my life. Now, El Pollo Loco was always just, for me, I would usually just get a bowl with a bunch of rice, beans, and chicken, so nothing crazy. But they announced that they have this new keto taco, and I'm not going there to get it because I want to eat it. I'm going there to rip it apart. Let's address the elephant in the room. It's not even a low-carb tortilla. It's a wheat tortilla, quite literally, to see what's in it, to see if it's something that is truly applicable within a ketogenic diet in a healthy way. Now, full disclaimer, come on, it's fast food. It's not gonna be something you wanna eat all the time. It's not gonna be perfect, but we gotta figure things out. And right now, we're trying to figure out, okay, well, different fast food chains are coming out with keto options. What is a true keto option? Do they actually know what they're talking about when they're marketing towards a keto crowd? Or is it something that's just a slight twist of the ingredients, or worse, a twist of words on the menu item to make it seem keto? So we're gonna check out the keto taco, but I've already done a little bit of my homework, and I'm gonna grab a couple alternatives for you as well, and we'll have some fun. Let's do this. For those of you that are out there that like cereal and still wanna be able to have cereal, please do check out Magic Spoon, okay? They're a new supporter of this channel, but they're a product that I've known for a while. These guys are super, super, super cool. Maybe you've seen them floating around. I just wanna throw it out there that they are the bomb when it comes down to a low-carb, high-protein cereal. Okay, these guys, absolutely no sugar. They're utilizing like a whey protein blend to actually make a protein cereal. And you're gonna get a really good deal on this stuff by using the link that's down below. So I just wanna give them a big shout out because it's totally relevant when I'm talking about breakfast. They've got chocolate, they've got like a fruity flavor, they've got a blueberry flavor, they've got a frosted flavor. You have to check them out. You've probably seen them on Joe Rogan's podcast. All these guys that are reputable within the health industry talk about them. So just because it's bright colored and it looks fun doesn't mean that it's unhealthy. It's definitely a good way to be able to swap out your breakfast. So highly, highly, highly do legitimately recommend that you try these guys. At least give them a shot. The link's down below in the description. You can check it out after you watch this video. And thank you, Magic Spoon, for making this channel possible and for helping out so many people with their health. We're playing it safe too. It's we're still in the middle of quarantine at the time of filming, so we don't want to go in. Chickenless Pollo Street. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, the world's first keto street taco. I don't know if it's the world's first. I'm pretty sure we've made it a few times. Yes, can I get one of the keto tacos, please?
Which taco?
The keto taco?
The keto taco?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And then I will also do a, please. And then we'll also go ahead and do a, and that should do it.
That's going to be $27.08.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Not actually very cheap, to be completely honest. I'm just noticing now when I look at the sides though, they actually have broccoli as a side. That's pretty darn cool. I actually would have gotten that. I wonder if, you know what normally I would do is actually I'd probably get that broccoli and I'd add it to a bowl. Anyway.
3 keto tacos?
No, just one keto taco.
1 keto
Yeah.
taco? $20.45.
Okay, they thought that I was getting 3 tacos. I was just getting 1. I guess keto, 3, kind of sounds hard to say. 3 keto tacos, 1 keto taco. But anyways, when we take this back to the studio and we talk about it a little bit more, I'll explain some of the science of it, but you know, El Pollo Loco at the end of the day, like you can get some pretty clean options. You just gotta be careful, just like any fast food place, you gotta be careful with MSG and things like that. But you know, at the end of the day, what are you after? Like it's a stopgap, it's not a staple, right? They do have MSG in their chicken, which is a bit of a bummer, but, or it's they have hydroxylated yeast extract.
Wonderful thing.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you.
No, it's pretty new.
Really?
Yeah, well, right before everything, I'd say like a month, yeah. So my big one that I used to go to all the time was, well, mainly Jack in the Box. I was just a sucker for the Jack in the Box tacos, which that meat is barely even meat. It was either McDonald's, like I used to get quarter pounders from here, and I used to drive across town, and I would hang out across town where no one would supposedly recognize me, and I'd eat my burgers. And the funny thing is at that point in time, I didn't really think that, what you doing, lady? Okay. Subconsciously, I knew that it was unhealthy and I was sad. But it was like my natural, like biological drive to just like be away from people when I was doing that, like led me to believe that, or it's hard to say, but I didn't really feel depressed at the time. But when I look back at how everything was, I was definitely depressed. It's so weird how life can work like that. You don't realize that you're not taking pleasure in the things that you used to until you look back, and then you have a contrast. The point is like, I would just go to the other side of town, I'd eat the fast food, and then like not think anything of it. But now in retrospect, I'm like, wow, I was absolutely hiding. I would throw the trash somewhere else so that no one would see any, and it's not like you couldn't look at me and couldn't tell that I was eating that stuff. Okay, so anyhow, it is always an interesting trip down memory lane. And someone asked me recently if I ever have sort of the old demons that come back from that. Absolutely. Okay, I am human, and yes, I have the cravings to hit the drive-through. There's nothing that totally changes that. And even though I live a super healthy lifestyle now, it is a constant battle. And quite frankly, that is why I'm here, to help motivate those that really deal with that battle. So let's take this back to the studio. Let's talk about the ingredients. Let's get a little bit nerdy on it and give you some solutions so you can still pick something in the drive-through. By the way, before I dive into the science on all this stuff, if there's a specific fast food item or if a specific fast food restaurant or even a chain that you want me to do reviews on, please put them down in the comment section below. That way I can review a little bit later. Usually I'd ask this at the end of the video, but I also know that people click off the video before it's over. So I'm asking towards the beginning, after you watch, just let me know what you want me to review. I'm happy to do it. Salsas. All right, so I've got the two other items that I'm going to share with you after we break down this keto taco. The two things that I would recommend getting instead. Really three, but I only picked up two. Let's see. All right, let's take a look at this guy. So if I pulled up the ingredients on this, it gets kind of interesting. First things first, let's address the elephant in the room. This is still a wheat tortilla. What frustrated me about this whole thing is it's not even a low-carb tortilla, okay? It's a wheat tortilla, which I'm gonna talk about in a second. It's still wheat flour, it's still a regular flour tortilla. Okay, what they've done is they've added a bit of fiber to it. They've basically added fiber into the mix to try to cancel it out. So basically, they've taken something that's already high carb, added some fiber into it to try to get the lower net carb ratio. Not the smartest way to try to get, I don't know, a keto product into the market, because anyone that's really going to look at the total carb content is going to be a little bit deterred. This carb content is still between 15 and 20 grams of carbs. Obviously, that's a lot for a ketogenic diet. Now, one thing I really need to break down on here is the number of glyphosates that are going to be in this. Okay, it's one thing to have a little bit of carbohydrates in a shell. It's another thing entirely to have a bunch of gluten. Here's the thing. The main reason that you should be following a ketogenic diet, outside of course, body composition, but still kind of lies in with it, is going to be the modulation of inflammation. So hear me out very, very carefully on this. There are fast food items that you can get that can still work within the realm of a keto diet and still help keep inflammation at bay. Gluten is not one of them. Okay, if you are doing keto, stay away from even the smallest amount of gluten. The glyphosates are inflammatory, but gluten, when it gets digested, generates or triggers the release of a protein called zonulin. This triggers this terrible situation in your gut where basically the epithelial cells end up getting a little bit weaker, and the gaps between them cause larger food particles to get into your bloodstream. These also allow what are called lipopolysaccharides to leak into the bloodstream. What this simply means, and especially right now in this time when I'm filming this video, your immune system gets compromised because it is focused on working against the lipopolysaccharides that got leaked into the bloodstream. Your inflammatory cytokines go up. The long story short is, this is an inflammatory nightmare. I don't like this. There were a lot of different ways. I wish they would have it would have been better off literally just doing a small corn tortilla. Literally, a corn tortilla would have been better than this. But they kind of lie. It's frustrating because I really don't mind El Pollo Loco. Okay, then the cotija cheese here. Normally, the nice thing about cotija cheese is that it is aged for like 12 months plus, true Mexican cheese like that, right? Turns out in this particular setting, they add some enzymes to it to speed up the process. So the cheese isn't the best cheese in the world, but it's not as bad as say the gluten, right? Chicken, their chicken is not bad. Their chicken is pretty darn clean in the world of fast food, to be completely honest. It is actually 100% chicken, which is a plus. So if you were to take this and you were to just take it off the tortilla, you'd actually have something that's not too bad. But keep listening because I got a little bit more to share with you. They do use a concentrated yeast extract in the chicken. What that means is that they have basically MSG. One thing to note, not all fast food places use MSG, believe it or not. People automatically assume that fast food is going to have MSG. So you really have to do your due diligence and like kind of research yourself a little bit before, because it's not always going to be in a fast food menu item. The yeast extract, what it does is it's an excitotoxin. And what scares me most about excitotoxins is that they're trying to mask something. What it means is it triggers your brain to think something tastes better. Okay, if something is properly seasoned and properly cooked, then we don't really need that, right? But if you add yeast extract or MSG, you're tricking the brain and exciting the brain. Is there a downstream chemical effect in the brain? There might possibly be. It's kind of inconclusive. The point is what are they hiding? Now, what I will say is it's using a lean chicken. Okay, I always recommend with El Pollo Loco to go for the leaner chicken. Repeat, go for the leaner chicken. And it's easy on a keto diet to think that you want to have the high fat stuff. Not with chicken. Chicken fat is A, poor fatty acid profile, but B, it's going to be where the toxins in the soy and a lot of the glyphosates that come in from what they ate are stored. Now, glyphosates are going to be in grain. That's going to be the Roundup that's in a lot of grain, right? Well, it leaches into grain-fed animals. But also, worst of all, is the soy issue. So I'm not actually poking a hole in this. I'm actually touting that this is actually good. They're using the lean chicken, so the chicken fat itself is actually minimal. They're getting the fat from the other stuff, from the cheese. And then, of course, the pico is going to be fine. I like that they use a little bit of lettuce. Well, they don't use cabbage on this one. They just use the lettuce. But then we've got the cilantro sauce. That's the very unfortunate thing. I would recommend that you have them use a different sauce. Okay, I would recommend literally just adding extra salsa to that. Hold the cilantro ranch and add just some extra salsa. The reason I say that is because this is pure soybean oil. Okay, soybean oil is going to be a big problem in the way of the ketogenic diet. Soybean oil, A, is very, very, very inflammatory, but also it counteracts a lot of the good that you're doing with your fats. It's a very unstable fat, which means the level of lipid peroxidation that occurs is very high. And that simply means that the fats essentially go rancid in your body. So, case in point with this, probably a no-go, but you could do it without the flour, right, without the tortilla, and instead of the sauce, use some salsa. I'm okay with the cheese because it's not the end of the world. It's just not real cotija cheese, okay? Now let me show you what I would recommend getting. By the way, this was $3.09, so not terrible, okay? Not a terrible price. Okay, this next one that I've got is a double chicken bowl, but I got this instead of with rice and beans, I just got it with cabbage. So here's what's cool. We still have the lean chicken. We still have the pico. But instead of lettuce, we have cabbage, which is actually perfect. Okay, cabbage is going to be a much higher probiotic content than shredded lettuce. So at least we actually get a nutrient effect here. We get an a microbiome effect. We get a probiotic effect. Also, it's a cruciferous vegetable, which means we have an estrogen modulating effect. Then what I would typically do with this guy is, of course, add some salsa to it just to give it a little bit of body since it doesn't have the juices from the rice and beans. But this is literally just a double chicken bowl. And then the sour cream really isn't too bad. Sure, you have dairy, but at least with sour cream, it's not like other forms of dairy that aren't going to have a cultured effect. Sour cream is essentially glorified yogurt. So this was $7.79, which quite frankly is a little bit expensive. It's almost like you'd be better, well, you get a good amount of chicken, but for $3, it's almost like you better off to get this and just get it off of the tortilla. And then the other one that you can get, I actually messed up on ordering this, so this is a very, very good way to describe what can happen. Okay, so it had corn in it and I didn't realize this. So this was the avocado bowl, which already comes with a good amount of chicken, but it's supposed to have a little bit more avocado than the double chicken bowl. Okay, so it doesn't look like they gave me the more avocado, but oh well. Still has the cabbage. It's very, very similar to this one, except it has some other potential options, like the corn. Corn is not going to be keto friendly. Corn will trick you because it's a vegetable and you think it's good to go, but it's actually not. It's very, very, very high in carbohydrates. Obviously, corn flour, anything, corn starch. So I would get rid of those guys and just have it like this. But realistically, they're ultimately the same thing. You're gonna go with the double chicken if you want a higher protein, lower fat ratio, slightly lower calories. You're gonna go with this one if you're okay with having a little bit more calories because more of the fats and a little bit less protein. So in essence, double chicken bowl if you're someone that works out a lot, avocado bowl if you're someone that's just doing the ketogenic diet just to lose weight or have a good overall healthy lifestyle. If you want me to do more of these breakdowns, let me know down in the comment section below. But oh, one thing, before I wrap up, I have to actually address something that's very, very important with El Pollo Loco. You can get just their regular chicken, but if you get their regular chicken, do not eat the skin. And I know that can be the tastiest part of it, but it will save you a ton of calories and it will save you a ton of headache in terms of most of the yeast extract / MSG that's gonna be soaking in the skin. Will it leak into the breast, into the meat? Yes, it will. But you wanna go for the leaner cuts. So go ahead and get a whole chicken or half chicken and just rip the skin off and go a little bit leaner that way. One thing I really do appreciate about El Pollo Loco is they have a strong stance against using trans fats. They will not use any trans fats or any hydrogenated fats. That is a very, very big thing because if you look at most fast food restaurants, you're going to have a good degree of trans fats. That's what makes them very bad, very hard for the body to break down and contributes to, of course, inflammation. It takes 51 days to break down half of what's called the CIS bond of trans fats. So no trans fats. So we actually have general health a little bit better here. If you want me to review more items, please do let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you tomorrow.